I do think that without women like Debbie Harry or Shirley Manson or Karen O, like, it would never have occurred to me that you could be in band.
Ask me no questions, I will tell you no lies. Careful what you wish for.
Hi, we are CHVRCHES and we are in Sonic Boom in Toronto for the LP spree. I cheated a wee bit because I saw ones on the way in. I'm looking for Leonard Cohen record. Like, people use the word artist very loosely, but I feel like he's like an actual poet that sets it to music, and I don't know, I just love him very much. So, okay, I know it's crappy to choose the greatest hits, but because it has like all of those on it. Suzanne and So Long Marianne are my two favorites.
I'm gonna go with this. Wonderful piece of work by Mr. Iggy Pop. This was made, I think, just before Bowie made Low. I think Iggy and Bowie were hanging about all the time in Berlin and causing riots and just being awesome and artistically out there. Notably, it opens with Sister Midnight, which there's actually another version of that song, Lodger by David Bowie. It's basically exactly the same backing track, but he's kind of reinterpreted the music. I prefer Iggy's version to David, even though David is the man, because it's darker and weirder, and that's always better in my opinion.
This is a good one. Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails. This is another one of like the key records in terms of making me interested in being in a band and teaching me what synthesizers were and how to process guitars.
To death. Never saying what I wanted.
I'm looking for a Nick Cave record. Like, he's always been somebody I really love in terms of like how he writes songs and how he tells stories. Like, there's so much imagery in the way that he writes, but again, I feel like he seems like the kind of person that he doesn't create things based on what he thinks people think he should be doing, or it's more like you feel like he just has to make certain things. And such a multi-talented man. I love his prose, I love the score work he does. I love the whole thing. So, two really uplifting artists so far.
This is actually the best album ever. This is the album that made me want to be in a band. This is the band that made me want to be interested in music in any way.
So this one is kind of more of a curveball than compared to these last two. Not curveball in general, but I love Beyonce, man. I love her. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. Like, I can combat all these arguments because, like, everything, like the writing, her performance on it, the imagery that was around it, what she was talking about, I think was really important. And there's nobody else. I don't know, like, what other artist could have made a statement like that?
So this is an album called Surfer Rosa by the Pixies, and I remember the ride back from school with the headphones on, hearing this for the first time, and you know, Steve Albini produced, and just like this raw drum sound, and I became a massive fan of this band.
And I know where my final one is because I saw it on the way in. Yes. Talking about awesome women who've done awesome stuff and make awesome music. Debbie Harry, I loved her when I was 15 and I love her now. You see all these other boys that were in all these bands that we listened to when we were growing up, and I really loved like Jimmy Eat World and the Foo Fighters and stuff like that, but we weren't really seeing any women doing that at that level, and that was really inspiring to me, and I feel like this is my favourite Blondie record, and what an iconic cover too.
Weren't you trying forgiveness and weren't you trying to stay? Weren't you trying to look up and weren't you trying to pray?
First record I picked out was Surfer Rosa by the Pixies. Kind of changed my life as a teenager. I'd never heard sounds like that before. Iggy the Idiot, hanging about with Bowie at the time. They were working together, they were like sharing instrumental beds and generally being awesome. Lots of early sampling on this album by Depeche Mode, Black Celebration. This kind of best of John Peel collection from the Smiths. It was a great entry point to the band, like if you've never heard them before.
This is actually essential. It's called The Downward Spiral. It's by 9 Inch Nails. Followed up by the undisputed best album of all time. The reason why I'm in a band, the reason why I'm a musician is this album. This is like my most important record ever made. This is another big like learning album for me. This is how I learned how to understand the value of music that appears to be simple on the surface, but is actually really complex and really esoteric in ways that you can't tell until you really listen into it. It's my favourite album of last year, which these two know I'd never shut up about.
Every day is like, have you heard the Always album?
I think
Have
I
you
must have
Always
heard
album?
it 50 times. I'm actually serious.
Nick Cave, the last Nick Cave record, obviously it's really harrowing listen, but I feel like they're so amazing. He's such an amazing lyricist. We all love what he does, and this was a really special work of art. I know it's a bit tacky to choose a greatest hits, but I couldn't decide. I was standing there being like, which one do I want? Which record do I want? So I was like, just think Leonard Cohen's such an amazing lyricist. Like, he's a true poet in the real sense of the word, and I've always, ever since I discovered him, I've loved him. So, Parallel Lines by Blondie. I love most Blondie stuff, but this is my favourite one. And I love that they're playing on the idea that, you know, to be a woman in that position, she has to be like this badass ball breaker, and she's wearing a tea dress, and she is a badass ball breaker, so it's pretty cool. Finally, the pièce de résistance, Lemonade. Sorry. Lemonade, which is one of my favourite records of the last couple of years. I just love Beyonce to the ends of the earth. I think she's really, I don't know, I think we'll look back on this time and think that this was a really brave, important piece of art, and I'm just here for it. I'm here for political Beyonce all day, all day.